I'm Sebastian St. James. Homeowners are rorting superannuation, and it's not fair for renters. Asset tested is ridiculous as it doesn't count own residents. Is this true? In Australia, do we overlook the value of your house when it comes to deciding whether you're eligible for the pension? Well, real estate is actually included. If you rent out a place or if you've got a vacation home, the only real estate asset we don't include is your principal home. Free, gratis. Is this fair? Well, to a certain point, absolutely. You can't make money off your home, so what good is it including it as one of your assets as far as the ability to forego the pension? You can't make money out of it, and therefore, why include it? So, on that level, I can understand why. According to the ABS, property sizes are shrinking in Australia. Back in 2012, 496, just below the 500 square metres, was the average property size. Now, that's shrunk to 432 square metres. This is David Natal, one of my channel members who seems to have retired on a perfectly ordinary looking house. 432 square metres, normal. Can you go up to 500, 600, 700? In fact, you can go up to 2 hectares of land, and it still counts as an ordinary home. Right, 2 hectares equals 2,000 square metres, which is, well, 4.6 standard house blocks. Except that is not true. 2 hectares is actually 2 times 10,000 square metres. It's gone up, which is 46 standard house blocks. 46? In Australia, your house could look like this, and you'd still be eligible for the age pension. And who lives in this house? Oh, Tony Brighton. Oh, nice. Thank you very much, Tony. Does taking up 46 houses worth of property surprise you that you can still get the full Australian pension? Well, probably it does. The question is, what if you go over? Well, anything above 46 houses worth, 2 hectares, actually counts against your pension. I see. So there is an upper limit. Eventually. Personally, I am surprised you are allowed to have so much land and still get access to the full Australian pension. Owning land is fine. In fact, it's a bit of an Australian tradition. But then the government likes to dock your pension for almost no reason. Have the letter L in your name? Half pension for you. So I do suspect in the future that this figure may come down. They may squeeze you into smaller properties under the guise that, well, why don't you downsize? In the government's rhetoric, they've already suggested that you downsize to free up land for younger people who apparently are more deserving than you are. And so I would not be surprised in the future if that 2 hectares actually comes down substantially. Those who can't afford to buy then rent and invest in like crypto or shares. So everyone is treated fairly in crypto. So let me get this right. You can't afford a house and instead you want to invest in crypto. Interesting life choices. So what actually does happen with the Australian pension and if you don't own a house, 46 times the size of an average house? Well, you of course have to pay rent, and because of that, things do change. If you're single, you can have up to $314,000 as a homeowner. But if you don't own a home, in other words, you have to rent, you can have up to $566,000. Ooh, that limit is higher. In fact, renters can have 80% more assets. Ooh. Is the amount that they overlook in assets enough for you to buy a home? No, it's not that generous, but it is fair in my mind that that threshold be higher because your expenses by definition to stay alive, to pay the rent, are going to be that much higher. Now, it's probably not enough, but it is at least a step in the right direction. When it comes to the age pension, fairness really isn't a factor. Do you know if you are too beautiful, you will be punished? If you're single, you can have up to $314,000 without it affecting the pension. But if you're beautiful enough that one person in the world wants to marry you, 2 times the single amount is $628,000. No, as a couple, $470,000. As a renting couple, the first $252,000 will be overlooked. Is that enough for you to go out and buy a home? No. Is that enough for you to invest and then pay all your rent? No, probably not. Once again, the pension is not about fairness. It's all about a step in the right direction or tokenism. There you go. You heard it from me. Now, that's to get the full pension. If you want a part pension, you can actually go higher, but that's how the system works. Your taxes go towards paying for public services and such, not something that is banked for a pension. In Australia, we have the idea that you're paying your taxes your entire life, you should be eligible for the pension. What's actually happening with that money? Is it actually going into some piggy bank waiting for you? Is it being invested in some sort of magical fund just waiting for the day that you retire? Here is Mr. Steve O.C. at the age of 19. Oh, nice. Thank you very much, Mr. Steve. Steve is paying tax as a 19-year-old waiter. Is the government in fact putting some of that aside for his pension when he retires at the age of 67? Try 84, Steve. By the time you get to retire, the pension age definitely would have gone up. In 2006, the Australian government created the Sovereign Wealth Fund, called the Future Fund, to pay for future obligations in Australia. Perfect. So we found out exactly where your taxes go. Since 2006, they're actually being invested and spiraling in their value. So when it comes time for your retirement, they can actually afford to pay your pension. No, that's not what's happening. The Future Fund has got one job, and that's to pay public servant superannuation benefits. So it's got nothing to do with you and I, except if you work in the public service. And therefore, the pensions are not a part of that system at all. In fact, the money that you get in your pension is actually money they've collected right now. It really should be up to the people what our tax dollars go towards. Such is representative democracy. Democracy manifest. Let's go back to ancient Greece and understand what democracy is really all about. This is it, the birth of democracy. Hello, I recognise him. That is Phil 378. And thank you very much, Phil. Democracy began in ancient Greece around 508 BC. Demos means people and kratos means power or rule. And by people, we mean citizens who are male. So if you're a woman back in ancient Greece, no democracy for you. I mean, how ridiculous would that be? And if you know your history, women did not get to vote until Mary Poppins created the suffragettes in 1964. But it really should be up to the people what our tax dollars go towards. Should we replace politicians with citizen voting? I'm going to say yes. Should pet kangaroos be legal in Australia? Yes. Should you be given $100 every time your train runs late? Absolutely. We have the technology to allow people to make their own decisions. In other words, real democracy. But as you know, those with the power at the moment, the politicians, would never let this happen.